About a fantastic certified Angus beef prime rib. Can we give CAB a big hand? Absolutely fantastic. Here's our plan for the evening. We've got two things that we're going to do. We're going to have an awesome speaker from Certified Angus Beef. I'll introduce him shortly. Before that, we're going to raise some money for ag kids of Hemphill County. So get ready. Let's raise some money. We're going to sell 4 items. We're going to sell a 1/4 mile of fence from Oklahoma Steel and Wire, or Wire and Steel. And we're going to sell an Akushi bull. And we're going to sell 2 of these great big Go Bob orange 2-inch pipe, heavy duty hay saver, hay feeders, scientifically proven. I got 2 of them and love them. So that's what we're going to sell. And they're out front. They're out front, and they'll deliver them 2 feet from right there. So that's Pat Shields, get up here and let's sell these things and support these kids of Hemphill County for them and all the ag kids. Oh, okay. Hemphill County ag students for furthering education. All right.
All right, thank you. Let's go. We're going to sell. We got 2 Go Bob hay feeders, and we're going to sell choice, or you can take them both for 2 times the money. All right, what do you say, Tarleton? Where do we want to start today? All right, $1,000. Do we have $1,000? Anybody want to bid 1,000? Help now, 12 and a half, 12.50, 12.50. 12 now, 15, 1,500. Now I'm going to 17 and a half, 17 and a half, 17.50, 1,500. It's for the kids, 15, 17 and a half. How about 1,600? Hit a 1,500 bid now, 16, 1,600 bid. Anybody bid 1,600? Hit a 16. Anybody bid 1,600? Y'all need to do some business over there. 2 times the money if you want them. Right now, they're going to a good home for real cheap. A 16. Now, do I have 1,600 anywhere? 15 over here. Now 16. Mama, 16. It is 16. Now 17. Do we see 17? 17. Now 18. 18 in the back. Would you bid 18, sir? 18. 18. 18. You got it. 19, but a 1,900. But yeah. Now 2,000. 2,000. Now 21. 21. 21. 2,100, but a 1 time. 20 and a half. Now 1. We did 2,100. You got it. Now 21 and a half. 1 and a half. 1 and a half, 2,100 bid in the back. Now 2,150, 2,150. Anybody want to do 2,150 1 time? It's for the kids. $50 more for the kids. We're going to sell it your way. 2,100 right there in the black hat. You want both of them? He takes both of them. Write them down right there, the man in the back. And he needs his name. Get his name right there. Thank you very much. All right, now what's the next item? What are we going to bring in here now? Are we bringing in the wire or are we bringing in the bull? You bring the wire first to keep the bull in. So we're going to sell 1 roll of a 1/4 mile of barbed wire from Oklahoma Wire and Steel. 1 roll. And it's right back there. It's here today. You can take it home tonight and use it in the morning. Ashland Vet Service bought the Gold Bobs. Thank you. Thank you, Ashland Vet Service. We appreciate it, as do the youth of Hemphill County. We're going to sell that roll of wire right now. Let's just start. $100. Do I have $100 for the roll of wire? 100. Hit it now. 150 now. 200 now. 200. 2 and a half. 2 and a half. 200 now. 250. Anybody with 250 now? 3. 300. 3 now. 3 and a quarter. 3 and a quarter. Man on 300. 300 bid now. 325. 325. Anybody with 325 now? 350 now. 375 now. 400. Do we have 400? Now 4 and a quarter. 4 and a quarter. Yeah. Now 4 and a half. 4 and a half. Now 5. 500. 500. 500. You got somebody for 500? It's all you. You can be 500. You can be 500. It's for the kids and for the fence. We got 500. Do we have 500? He's asking for 500. Do you have 5? We got 450 over here. He doesn't have it. We need you. 450's right there. 500. All right, now 5 and a half. 5 and a half. Now 6, 6, 6, 6. 575. Or are you quitting? 550, 75. Anybody want to be 575, 5 and a half right here? We're going to sell it right here. 550. Westway Feeds. Westway Feeds. And you're going to donate the wire back, and we're going to sell the wire one more time? No, he can buy it. You can donate it back to me, but not to him. All right. We have one more roll of wire right here. Thank you, Westway Feed and Jeremy Viator, the national. Give them a big round of applause for buying it and donating it back. All right. $4.50. You were at $4.50 just a minute ago. That's used wire. It wasn't used much. All right, 300. Would you do 300 for the used wire? All right, now 3.5 out of 350. Anybody want to bid 350? 350. 300 now, 350 for a used wire. It's good used wire. Now restretched. Yeah. It'll know how to come off. It won't bind up on you. Now $350, $350, $350, 350 anywhere. 300, 350. Sold them right there. 300. Raiders. Thank you very much. Appreciate y'all. All right. You can use that wire to build a pen for this Akaushi bull. I don't have his papers in front of me, but there it is right there. This is all going to go right here to the youth and the scholarship fund. Anybody want to start him out? Joe Belk from Hereford, Texas. Canyon, Texas is donating the bull. All right, it went to 10,000. Anybody want to bid 10, 10, 10? I saw this at a bull sale, so we're going to go down to 3. I'll let everybody bid $3,000. Anybody in one for 3? 3,000, but a 3,000 for the bull. It'll buy that across the scale. 3,000, but a 3,000. 2,000. 2,000. Now 2,500. Anybody want to bid 2,500? 2,000, 25, 25, 2,500. 2,500. At a 2,000, but anybody want to bid 25? 25. You get the whole bull. Now 3. Would you bid 3,000? Now 35. Yeah, 3,500, but 3,500. We got 3 over here. Now 35. 35 now 4. 4, but a 4 now 4.5. 450. 4,500. 4,500. 4,500. 4,000. Now 45. Now 5. Would you bid 5,000 on the Red Bull? 47.5. 47.5. Now 5. Would you be 5,000? Need 5, 5, 5, 5. 47.5. He's weakening. 47.5. Now 5, 5, 5. And his buddy's got the barbed wire. This will do prime quality carcasses, and if you don't buy them, your neighbor will. Now 47.5. Now 5. 5,000. 5,000. 5,000. I think he's going to do it. 47.5 bid. Now 5, 5, 5, 5. $5,000. 47.50. Now 5. Anybody else? 47.50 down here in front with Tom Fanning. Now 5, 5, 5. Anybody with 5,000? It's for the kids. You get a good bull, kid gets an education. Hit a 47.50 now 5,000. I'm going to sell it right here. 47.50. Tom Fanning. Thank you, Tom Fanning. Appreciate it. Thank all of y'all out here for helping support these youth of Hemphill County. And thank you, Andy, for everything you do for the county and the beef industry.
He said, that's so sad, that's really too bad. Wish I had time to hear about that. But I got a new love.
Thank y'all very much. Appreciate that. What a way to help the young people in Hemphill County to further their education in agriculture. And Dr. Randall Spare that bought those, thank you very much. Ashland Vet Clinic, he's going to be the first one on our program in the morning to speak. Trade show opens at 7 a.m. He'll be kicking off our program shortly after our prayer and Pledge of Allegiance. That'll begin at 8 o'clock. We're going to have also right before that, we're going to do a video about Certified Angus Beef about 7:45. So with our schedule right now, I want to introduce a good friend of mine that has done so much for the beef industry. His name is John Stika. John grew up as a wildcat from Kansas State University, and then got his PhD in meat science from the University of Kentucky. John started to work for the Certified Angus Beef, back in 99, right? 99, John started to work. I got to know him when he was a K-State Wildcat. And went to work for Certified Angus Beef in 99, and then 7 years later, 19 years ago, became the president of Certified Angus Beef. Only the second or third one of those? Okay, third president of the most successful marketing program in the history of the beef business. He bought a supper tonight. Let's give a warm welcome to the president of Certified Angus Beef, John Stika.
Now we call it the Cadillac Ranch. They're parking cars in the...
Well, thank you very, very much for that warm reception and so forth. It's really my pleasure to be here. I just can't say enough positive things about my experience here today with everything that has been achieved, Andy, with you and your entire crew of people that have pulled this together. Truly one of the most impactful national beef-focused conferences going on, and I attend a lot of conferences, as many of you do. Perhaps one of the most grassroots, production-oriented conferences that you can attend, and it's right here in Canadian, and so nicely done. You know, we've been a part of it. Actually, I first heard about it from Steve and Ginger Olson and James Henderson. They were talking about kind of when this got started about 10 years ago, saying, hey, they've kind of got a pretty good deal going on up there in Canadian. You guys might want to consider being a part of it. And I think, Andy, we've now been a part of it on 3 different occasions, perhaps, and we're really proud to be a part of it again tonight, and I'm glad that everybody enjoyed their meal. You know, I understand in talking to Andy that the very first event had 84 people at it. And I think we're more than 84 this year, okay? Significantly more, you know, and I think that's a reflection of the content. I think it's a reflection of the fact that this is a livelihood to so many of you in this area, a reflection of the importance of agriculture to this part of the state and really other states as well that are represented here. You know, I understand that during that very first conference, Minnie Lou Bradley stood on stage and really talked about the theme at the time was the wave of the future. And what she talked about was the fact that we needed and we're going to need more certified Angus beef and prime carcasses. Well, I can guarantee I will not be as prophetic as Minnie Lou was in that point, but quite honestly, I want to pick up where she left off. You know, Andy gave me a title to use tonight, and that title in so many words is this right here. Is the future about quality or commodity beef? It's your decision. Well, I appreciated that, and I oftentimes love to take in the title of a presentation that's been given to me, but I actually thought that maybe made it sound like too much of a debate. Okay, so Andy, I took the liberty to change the title and maybe let everybody know my biases right up front, okay, that I don't believe this is a debate. I don't believe this is necessarily a conversation about do we want to be commodity or do we want to be quality. I truly believe the future is about quality beef because the present has been and the last several years have been, and there's really, from my perspective, again, admitting my bias, I can't see a reason in front of us today that would suggest we need to be looking at a pounds only type of production system to continue to grow the future of the beef business. I love the theme. Happy days are here again, and I think this title fits that theme. Okay, and I think that for a couple of different reasons. One is happy days are here again because there's mud outside. Okay, there's mud outside. There's record high prices. There's a lot of reasons to feel really good about this business. But I also think one of the other reasons to feel really good, and I know this was mentioned earlier today, the world loves our product. And that's congratulations and thanks to each and every one of you. We enjoy what is the best period for beef demand in the last 30 years. And as I say that and stand up here, there's some of you in the crowd who remember when it wasn't very good. There are others that are maybe more my age. We remember it not being good, but we didn't remember how good it was before. Okay? We didn't experience the decline in beef demand. And there are folks here today, thank goodness, that have never seen it better than it is today and don't really know a time when beef demand and beef wasn't king. Okay? And so it takes all of us to make sure that we don't relive the past and the history, but that we keep looking forward and that we keep focusing on the things that are going to allow farming and ranching operations to be profitable and viable. And I think this is just an amazing chart. Now, I think it's also important to point out here the information that's in the box, that we're not celebrating a universal increase in generic beef demand across the board. What we are experiencing right now is very specifically, as Randy Block says in that comment, beef demand is where it is today, and especially for the last 20 years, it's occurred only because of the growth that we've experienced in prime, premium choice, and choice. We haven't grown demand for select, and I could show you a graph accordingly. Okay, it's come because of quality. Quality has put us in a great spot. And I just think that's an important point to point out. And before we move any further, some of you may not be very familiar with Certified Angus Beef and how we're structured and who we are. And I just want to take a moment to give you some perspective into who we are as an organization. We are owned by the American Angus Association, and we're one of a handful of subsidiaries or entities that the American Angus Association owns. We're a not-for-profit organization in the way that we're structured, which means 100% of our revenue goes right back out to build demand for certified Angus beef, both domestically and internationally. And so since we are a nonprofit but not non-revenue, how do we generate our income? Well, 100% of our revenue comes from the packing segment paying us a commission for the opportunity to promote qualifying product under the Certified Angus Beef brand. So we are packer funded, but producer grassroots owned in terms of the way that we're put together. We don't own any cattle. We don't own any beef. We own some buildings in Worcester, Ohio. We own a couple minivans. Okay, we do have a Ford Taurus that no one drives anymore. We probably ought to get rid of that. Okay, but we own those things. Then what else? What do you think is the most valuable thing we own? The Certified Angus Beef logo. That's the most valuable thing we own, and we leverage and leverage that across the marketplace to create added demand for the brand. We sell, under the Certified Angus Beef brand, about 1.23 billion pounds of Certified Angus Beef each year into 52 different countries around the world. And in doing that, we create a pull-through demand that equates to roughly $100 a head premium over the cash base price when cattle are sold on the grid. And that's ultimately what we're here to do. And so when you think about it, why does this brand exist? We exist to do two things: to make the beef buying decision easy for the consumer. If it's not certified, it's not the best. Look for the logo. It's all you need to know you're getting the best product for your money. And then ultimately, we have to translate that demand, that consumer pull-through, into tangible, real dollars to reward farming and ranching families that depend on Angus genetics for their livelihood, to continue to make sure that they're rewarded for producing a high-quality product. And I think we can all agree when we're talking about putting dollars into the pockets of producers, it's always good, and I think anytime we're talking about demand, to remind ourselves that the only sustainable source of new dollars on which we can continue to build this beef business comes from the consumer. The consumer ultimately has to be willing to put down their money out of their pocket, invested in our industry, for us to continue to grow and grow our business. And I think we all would agree, even if we don't shop the meat case, because we probably all have product in the freezer at home, but maybe you've heard enough that beef prices are a little high right now. We have truly tested the love and passion that consumers have for our product over the last couple of years in particular. I love this graph because this plots the average retail price for beef against pork and poultry. And you can look back in 2000, beef was only 7% higher than pork. It was 78% higher than chicken. Today, 2004, average beef prices are 64% higher than pork and 230% higher than the average price of a package of chicken. Yet, consumers are still picking up our product. And beef continues to dominate the meat case. The Power of Meat study just came out here this spring, and beef actually dominated the meat case, growing by 9.7% in terms of dollars spent in the meat case, but also led the way in terms of units, in terms of pounds through the meat case, growing by 4.5%. So we're doing something right, because consumers are sure willing to put their money down to buy our product. even at the prices that we see today. And from a certified Angus beef standpoint, we see this as well. This is the cutout values for certified Angus beef. Our record year we ever had was in 2019, right before COVID. And you can see where prices were there, clear to the left of that chart, where prices were. Those were still roughly record prices, okay? And we had a record year. And since that time, we have pushed prices much higher, and we've still managed to have sales on par, which is within a couple million pounds of our record year each and every year so far. And this year, if you look clear to the right to where the circle is around those cutout values, even at those prices, March of this year was the single best sales month we've ever had as a brand, selling almost 117 million pounds of certified Angus beef. And April is not going to be a record, but it will be the single best April as we close the books on it as well. So that tells us something about consumer thought process around how they choose to buy beef. And what we've learned over the course of time is consumers do not buy beef on price alone. It is a price in relation to value decision that they make. And as prices go up, that value determination begins to align more closely with quality. Quality sits opposite of price in the minds of consumers, and what we know today is 95% of consumers are willing to pay more when they know that the quality of the product is going to be there, and that's something that we continue to see. Now, if we dissect that a little bit more, what we know when they say quality, they're really talking about taste. They love the taste of beef. It was talked about, Colin talked about it. Beef is the protein of celebration, and we should celebrate 7 days a week, in my opinion. Okay, and we do at our house. And it's because they love the taste of product. They love the taste of beef. And that continues to be a key point that we need to keep focused on, that at these prices, it's imperative that we continue to deliver on the taste of beef in the eyes of the consumer. Because it was mentioned before, we can get anybody to buy our product once. But the goal, just like in selling bulls or selling feeder calves, whatever it might be, the goal is to get somebody to come back again and to come back with more dollars because of the value that they received when they purchased it the first time. And we see that here, that 92% of consumers agree that something can be a great price, but if it didn't taste good, they are not going to buy it again. And I would tell you, we are doing a lot of things right now because consumers are coming back to the meat case. Colin called it a renaissance around beef, and I would say that's very, very much the case that we're beginning to see. I don't think personally that the increase in demand that we have seen is a big surprise, because nothing happens by chance, and things that happen by chance are surprises. That increase in demand was intentional, and it probably goes back to the 91 quality audit, as far as it probably goes back, and maybe even before. Okay, that increase in demand was intentional. It was well thought out. It was supported across the industry. And it's no surprise that that graph looks very similar to the graph on the screen right now, which is the percent choice and prime grading for our industry. You know, I remember back when 2000, I started at Certified Angus Beef in 99. And, you know, I tend to use, prime meat was kind of just what we accidentally produced in this industry. No one intended to produce it. It was kind of like unicorn meat. It really was kind of hard to find, okay? It was there. We talked about it. I was on meat judging teams. We barely looked at them. If you could find one in a plant, you might look at it, but you'd never see one in a contest. That was kind of the way the coaches talked about it, okay? And so it really was just something that was there. And then we started to make an intentional effort. We were receiving market signals that said, hey, there's an opportunity to make more money if we target more effectively at what consumers want. And you can see the stair step that we began to see in 2008 to where we are today. Today we're doing 10% prime, 10 to 11% prime, and a combined choice and prime mix of 83 to 84% compared to the token 3 to 2% prime before, and 50 to 57 or 50 to 52% choice that we were doing back in the early 2000s. That's intentional, people, and that is why we are having happy days again, in my opinion. And that's why I don't think this is a debate around whether it's quality or whether it's commodity. It's quality, and I'll touch a little bit more on that for the rest of my presentation. Now, from a certified Angus beef standpoint, I think it's also fair to say that all that growth in prime and choice has come at the expense of something, right? Okay, there's still only 100% out there, and that has come at the expense of select. And I love this graph up here, okay, because as it was mentioned by Donald, we are a marketing organization. And if you go back to 2006, when certified Angus beef was 5.9% of the industry, okay, we actually put that on stickers and put it in packages of meat in the retail case and said less than 6% qualify, okay, as a point of exclusivity, hoping we could grow at some point, but that's where we were, so that's what we talked about. At the time, I find it remarkable that that was an industry that depended on 40 to 41% select beef in the marketplace. And today, if you haven't been tracking kind of what's been going on, today certified Angus beef makes up almost 1 out of every 4 fed cattle harvested in the U.S. And select, as of last year, was less than 14% of our mix. If there was demand for select, it'd be higher than that. Or if there was demand for select that was worth more to this industry than choice, premium choice and prime, we'd be making more of it. And I think that tells us a lot that we made the right choice. Speaking of select and our strength in prime, I don't know how many of you check the weekly grade mix that we see in this industry that USDA puts out, but this is one of the most remarkable things that I've seen. It is prime time, folks, and I'm not talking about Deion Sanders, okay? It is prime time. When you look over the last 6 consecutive weeks, we've produced more prime in this industry than we have select. I think it's one thing to understand that we've produced more certified Angus beef than select after seeing that chart, but to think that we are now producing more prime than we are select, at least for the last consecutive weeks, I think that's amazing. Now, Cattle Facts mentioned, and rightfully so, it's unlikely that for the year we're going to see prime percentage for the year exceed select. But the fact that we've put 6 consecutive weeks together tells us we're probably not that far away from where I could show you a graph where the day that prime and select surpassed, when prime surpassed select at some point in the near future. And I think that's a phenomenal thing for us to think about. If you aren't overly familiar with what it takes to qualify for certified Angus beef, a black-hided Angus-influenced animal needs to meet 10 specific carcass specifications for quality to ultimately become certified Angus beef. And the most significant one and the most limiting one is right there at the top as we're talking about marbling. A carcass has to have a modest degree of marbling or higher to qualify for certified Angus beef, average choice or higher. Now, you're going to hear me talk about certified Angus beef prime here in a little bit. And to qualify for certified Angus beef prime, they do have to have a slightly abundant degree of marbling or higher for that specific aspect of our brand. But I wanted to put this on here because I think it's exciting to see how this quality revolution has really materialized within our own supply for certified Angus beef. Okay, this last year, we actually had the largest volume of certified carcasses we've ever seen. At 5.96 million carcasses were certified into the brand, and that really came about because we had a record percent of Angus eligible cattle qualify for those 10 specifications at roughly 37.5% of all Angus cattle qualified. I think it's interesting when we look at this change that's happened. Again, this is not random, this is intentional, that just in the last 10 years, we've increased certified head count by 70%. Okay, and we've increased the acceptance rate by 10 percentage points. 10 percentage points. Now that increase in head count, we've adjusted the carcass weight in there off and on. We just actually adjusted our ribeye spec here back in early March, so that's not reflected here. So there have been a few tweaks to keep us relevant with an increasing, a growing industry that have been made along the way, but this is far and away a reflection of the quality, intentional quality improvement that this industry has put forward. I do think it's interesting. I don't often point this out, but it kind of crosses my mind every time I see this slide. I was hired in 1999 as Assistant Director of Feeder Packer Relations with the sole reason of my performance based on increasing acceptance rates. If you look at the red line, they took me off of that responsibility in 2006. thinking I was maybe more qualified for administrative work, maybe, okay? So I just can hardly look at that slide without thinking of that. You know, and how did that come about? We talked about it not being random chance, but rather being intentional. Okay, it comes about because the economics said there's more money for me to give consumers more of what they want, which is higher quality. Okay, and that economic signal starts with consumers willing to pay more for a steak on the menu, to pay more for a package of meat at a retail case. That then comes through the retailer and the food service distributor ultimately willing to pay more to the packer for the quality of product that they, boxed beef product that they want. And that's then reflected in the cutout values that we begin to see here on the production side. And what you see on the screen right now are the cutout values for prime and certified Angus beef, choice and select for averages for 2004 as well as no roll. You can see the spreads that are there between those different quality levels. But most importantly, what I want to drive home here is that at the wholesale level, a prime carcass is worth $300 more than a choice. And that was on average for last year. It's more than that right now. A CAB carcass is worth $136 more on average, and a select and a no roll or a standard carcass on a 9-weight carcass weight, again, are at significant discounts. What's exciting to see as we look at these numbers, because this is important, because it sends the signal about why I don't believe this is a debate around quality or commodity. This chart up here shows you the certified Angus beef to choice spread over time in the green. The fact that that gets wider as we move to the right says that that spread is getting more significant. The red is the choice select spread. And you can see that getting wider as we move to the right. And keep in mind where the value of this slide comes into. We've got widening spreads at the wholesale level while we're putting more of these kind of quality carcasses on the market. More supply at widening spreads, I think, speaks to the demand signals that, again, have helped lead us to where we are today. This ultimately gets translated into grid premiums that then reflect back to what I shared earlier, where a certified Angus beef carcass is worth roughly $80 to $100 more than the cash base price on a grid. And specific to prime, this slide here is maybe a little hard to read in terms of trying to decipher what it says, but the yellow line reflects the carcass tonnage that we've put on the market on a weekly basis. For the spread of that slide, we've basically quadrupled the volume of prime on the market. And you can see that that prime premium over choice on the grid still sits solidly between 15 and 20 bucks. Okay, and that's an average. Now, I've cherry-picked something. I'm coming clean. I cherry-picked an example, a real-world example that I want to share with you of what can happen when high-grading cattle hit a marketplace or a marketing method that really rewards quality. And I think it's pretty impressive. This is a set of heavyweight heifers, 59 of them sold in January. When I say heavyweight heifers, these heifers had an average carcass weight of 1,020. Okay, so they were big. These cattle went 100% choice and prime, 75% prime on a premium on this grid of 34 bucks, 100. Okay? They only went 12% CAB because too many of them went prime. Okay? And that premium was 7 bucks, 7.48 is what that was. They yielded back a per head premium for quality of $372, as you can see on the screen. Now, granted, they were heavy and they were a little bit fat. And so we've got some discounts in there. But even when you pencil in those discounts for being 29% 4s and 5s, 15% over 1,100 pounds, you take that in there, that's a discount of $17 a head. You still get a net result of $355. Where do you get $355? That's significant. And that's what's driving this revolution and continual improvement towards quality. Now, it was brought up yesterday, and I couldn't agree more with Lee around the fact that we are going to see increased focus on improving red meat yield, reducing back fat, producing carcasses that have more product that we can sell and less to trim off. We can do it more efficiently in the feed yard, more efficiently on the ranch as well, more than likely. And that's going to come at some point. But I would tell you, it's not going to be a focus on red meat yield at the expense of quality. it's going to be a focus on both. They're going to have to continue to hit the quality mark and opportunities to see more incentive, I believe, for red meat yield moving forward. It's not an either or, it's going to be an and. We're going to want them both, I think, moving forward. So I just went ahead and put together a few slides here that really speak to why I believe that there is reason to support that a focus on quality is still going to be the path forward, okay? And why we're not at a point where we've arrived and it's time to focus on something different. And the first one is very, very simple. I'm a meat scientist, or I'm more science type than scientist probably, even though I have a PhD, okay? Because Dr. Hale's a meat scientist at his core, okay? I'm more science type, okay? But as we look at this, there is just a lot of literature out there that speaks to the fact that consumer satisfaction improves in our product as marbling goes up. And this is one of the best classic studies done at Colorado State that really exemplifies that as marbling goes up, consumer satisfaction goes up. And I believe it's just quite that simple. You make a better product, more consumers trust your product and they buy more. And demand goes up. And that's what's gotten us to where we are. And I think more of the same is going to be a part of why quality is going to continue to resonate in our industry. I also would tell you that it's very easy in the branded beef world, and many of you maybe have your own branded programs that you're selling as well. And I would tell you, you can sell ribs, you can sell strips, you can sell tenderloins. Those are easy to sell. It's selling eye-arounds, round flats, insides, chuck rolls, clods, maybe some thin meats. Okay, those are the things that are hard to sell. And oftentimes things that are hard to sell get discounted and go out the door at commodity prices. What we've been able to see over the last several years is the ability for the brand to elevate the value in end cuts to where now when you look at a Certified Angus Beef premium over choice of 5.1%, that 5.1% isn't just sitting focused on 3 cuts or the 2 primals in the middle, ribs and loins. We're selling chucks for 5, almost 6%, a premium over choice. We're selling briskets for a 5% premium. We're selling plates because the skirt state's attached to it, okay, for a 6% premium. And yes, we're selling rounds at a premium, but we could sure stand to sell them at a bigger premium. But the point is, the fact that we've got a premium across the entire carcass only further supports why a packer in an industry would like to see more of these kinds of cattle hit the marketplace, because I can make more money selling Certified Angus Beef chucks than I can commodity chucks. You know, as a part of that story is the fact that ground beef is no longer quality grade neutral. I think a lot of us were probably brought up or trained that an 80-20% ground beef is the same as any other 80-20% ground beef. Ground beef is ground beef is ground beef. Okay? I'll tell you the reality is it's not. Premium grinds, or what we call tasty grinds, okay, perform better at food service, at retail, international, and domestic, with big chains like Smashburger being a big part of driving Certified Angus Beef premium grinds nationwide. That's a big part of why I think this is a very important point. And whether it be boxed frozen patties like those Smashburgers you see on the screen, to inclusion burgers like those blue cheese burgers you see there. You see the Prime Burger that's listed up there as well. The Certified Angus Beef Chub ground beef, 1 pound pack, okay? At a wholesale level, let me give you some context. At a wholesale level, 1 pound of Certified Angus Beef ground beef, 80-20 chuck, sells at a 20-cent premium to commodity 80-20 ground chuck. Okay? 20 cents. That's real money. Ground beef is no longer quality grade or brand neutral, and that's another reason why the quality beef movement, I think, will continue to move forward. We talked a little bit earlier about the importance of Prime. And Prime has been a significant portion of our growth as a brand over the last several years. We had another record year with Prime last year, and it's on pace for a record year this year as well. And it's interesting because the reason Prime has become so important is, as it says there, larger Prime supplies support more consistent and expanded offerings. A retailer now can feel confident that I can put a 2-foot section or a 4-foot section of prime meat in my service case or self-service case and know that it is going to be there every week, okay? They know that a restaurant can put an item on a menu and know that they're going to get it every week. A retailer in particular, if they're going to have it in the store, they definitely want to put it on ad. And you can see the ad that's listed up there. It may be a little hard to see, but we've got retailers that will feature commodity choice, strip steaks maybe. They'll do Certified Angus Beef strip steaks on ad, and then they'll do Certified Angus Beef Prime strip steaks on ad as well. A 3-way shadow feature is what we call that. You could never do that when Prime was 2 to 3% of the industry. And you couldn't do it when Prime was 6% of the industry, when it varied weekly from 4% to 10%. But consistently at 10 to 12% Prime in the marketplace today, we're seeing this as a key part of why the messages around quality will continue to resonate. And actually, we believe over the next 3 years, even with declining cattle numbers, but increasing grade, Prime will probably be the way this brand grows for the next 3 years in tight and declining cattle numbers. So we're pretty excited about this category, so please make more of them. Lastly, I'll put this one up here, that the customer base for premium beef continues to grow. The bottom line is, I know when I started 26 years ago, it was traditional retail and high-end food service. Okay, and that was kind of where premium meat sold, not just our brand, but premium meats in general. Today, we see an expanded array of customers that are looking to upgrade their meat case. A big one is multicultural markets, whether that's domestic multicultural, Latin-focused retail chains or food service chains, or if it's Asian, especially Korean-focused entities, retail or food service. These are beef-centric cultures that historically have been kind of looked at as an opportunity for an outlet for lower quality, select grade meat. These markets are now looking to upgrade to a premium product, and that's a big part of what we're seeing as a transition in where premium products are sold. Universities and colleges continue to look for ways to upgrade the experience. The campus life environment and quality beef is one of those things. And I don't know about you, I'm in Texas. You guys ever heard of a Buc-ee's? I don't know if you had, maybe. Okay. Well, convenience stores. Okay. There was a long time we said we would never sell Certified Angus Beef at a place that sold gas. And then Buc-ee's came along, and we don't think gas is so bad. Okay. The reality is, if you're buying a brisket sandwich at Buc-ee's, you are buying a Certified Angus Beef brisket sandwich from the single largest user of Certified Angus Beef briskets on the planet. In all honesty, that is the first customer that ever makes me wonder, can we actually make enough of them when you look at how their business is growing? And I'm not saying enough Certified Angus Beef briskets, I'm saying enough briskets, okay? These guys sell a lot of briskets. And that convenience store space continues to grow. So 20 years ago, would you ever guess that, or would I have ever guessed that we'd be selling in literally a gas station? Okay, now I can eat my brisket sandwich in the bathroom. As you know, they're that clean, okay? But still, the customer wants a premium beef experience wherever they want it, whether that's fine dining, at a retail case, or at a gas station. They want it, and they're willing to pay for it. I think that's the part that's exciting. You know, I oftentimes get the question is, have we arrived as a breed or as a brand, as an industry in terms of grade? And for all that we've accomplished, there remains a great deal of opportunity for us to continue to get better. Okay, this slide right here, if you just focus on the graph there in the middle, that is the reasons why those cattle who failed to qualify for Certified Angus Beef didn't make it. Okay, so those percentages obviously add up to more than 100 because a carcass can miss it on a couple different traits. They maybe didn't have enough ribeye or had too much ribeye and not enough marbling. Maybe they were too fat or maybe missed the carcass weight spec. But you can see that 86% of the time, a carcass that doesn't get into the brand didn't have enough marbling. So that would suggest we still have some time, some opportunities to improve. And I would tell you there that when you break it down a little bit more and look at the distribution by marbling score for these 2 million Angus carcasses that we looked at over the course of the entire year this last year, okay, it doesn't take much to move a population like this. For instance, if we could only grab 30 degrees of marbling from small 70 to modest 0, that's 10% of that population, would at least now have enough marbling to potentially qualify for certified Angus beef or at least premium choice. Just moving 30 degrees. And I don't want to understate the difficulty in doing that, but it's 30 degrees of marbling. We can do that. And we know we can do that through genetics. We know that we can do that through management. And I really want to focus here on the genetics side, because genetics has been a huge part of the reason that we've gotten to where we are. We know that in the last drought with the big liquidation, we repopulated the industry with the best genetics this industry had to offer, and we've seen the benefits of that. I anticipate that we will repopulate again with the best genetics that are available that hit the consumer and marketing target. We believe it starts with using Angus genetics in your cow herd, and in particular, if you want to focus towards certified Angus beef, look for those genetics that qualify for the targeting the brand logo, which would be a marbling score of 0.65 combined with the $G of 55. Okay? Along with that, we are here to help you, whether it's myself or the American Angus Association. Riddell Tyner is sitting right over there. We're here to help you. To start with buying a registered Angus bull, okay? Or perhaps it's genetic profiling your commercial Angus cows to know more about whether or not they can target the quality levels that you want to work towards in your cow herd, okay? Through the GMAX Advantage program, or whether it's marketing your feeder cattle, ultimately to help translate the investment you made in genetics and translate that genetic merit to the cattle feeder or next owner of your cattle if you don't retain ownership of them through the feed yard. And in addition to the American Angus Association, the Texas Angus Association is working as well to help bring additional resources to market feeder cattle here within the state of Texas. I think there's going to be a sale or an effort both at Wichita Falls and here in Amarillo. And Riddell Tyner would be a great one to talk to if you're interested in assistance from the Texas Angus Association to market your feeder cattle with the opportunity to realize greater value as those cattle can target the certified Angus beef brand and prime. Now, I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, we would go to Wilson, Kansas every year. I lived in kind of the central part of the state, but a little more to the east, and Wilson, Kansas was a little bit farther to the west. And we would drive out there for the Czech Festival and Polka Party every year, okay? It's kind of what we did. And I would tell you, driving those back roads, my dad never liked to take the interstate because you never got to see the countryside, he said. And so we would take the back roads, small state highways, and it was only like a 3-hour drive, but we would spend the night because that was vacation, okay? And I would tell you that whenever we saw a sign like that on a motel, my brothers and I would get excited because, boy, it had everything we needed. Color TV, okay, had a pool, kitchenette, and maybe even had a rotary phone in the room. Okay, a lot of really cool stuff. Okay, and that was special. Okay, today I think we would all agree that that's table stakes. Okay, that doesn't attract us to a hotel. Okay, I expect all that. What used to be yesterday's features are today's expectations. Okay, I don't even want to talk to anybody. I just want to walk in and open my door with keyless entry. Okay? That's that's kind of the new set of expectations. And it's no different in our business. Quality, in my opinion, will remain king, but as we see more of the next generation of millennials begin to transition into our business, it is very true and real that sustainability will become a bigger part of what underpins the demand of our business. And I specifically am talking about the perception that folks have about the way we care for our cattle and care for our land and water resources, okay? And they're not looking at us that we do anything wrong. They just want confirmation that we're doing things right. That's what I have found. I have never once had a customer try to tell us how they believe cattle should be raised. I've had them come to say, tell me how cattle are raised. And that's a different approach to the conversation. And I put this up here because I just simply want to make a claim. If you're not BQA certified, or if your certification has gone out of date, I would encourage you to get BQA certified as part of our cooperation with Cisco Food Service and our Raised with Respect campaign, trying to elevate the number of producers that are BQA certified. I would tell you that BQA certification, as I mentioned earlier, is a tool for trust. Okay, a tool for trust in communicating that our industry cares enough about these things to elevate your comfort in the way that you trust our business and trust what we do. And I would just encourage you to do that. It was the single easiest thing you can do and cheapest thing you can do to underpin the demand that we've built over these last 30 years. Okay, and it's something we've all very easily can do. So I encourage you to do that. Lastly, I just want to leave with just a couple of closing thoughts. The first one in here is as I talk about the importance of quality. Someone once, much wiser than me, once told me when I first started with Certified Angus Beef, and I was learning a lot about what I didn't know, and he made a point of telling me that he said, John, you need to understand something. And he goes, I'm on your side. I'm on your side. But the carcass is, in fact, the most valuable thing we produce. But it's the last thing we get paid for. And so I share that because we have got to understand that producing quality has been what has allowed us to achieve the demand that we have and the success that we have. You at the same time have to select for cows that breed back. You have to select for cows that have live calves. You have to select for calves that hit the ground vigorous, that they perform and grow in your environment, that cows that, again, can raise that calf on minimal resources. All that stuff is part of sustainability too. But what I would ask you to do as you focus on those things that are so important to your ranching profitability, don't forget about carcass quality and marbling and demand. Because that, in all honesty, is almost the one single trait that crosses over an entire industry. It matters to the restaurateur, it matters to the retailer, it matters to the packer, it matters to you if you're a cow-calf producer, it matters to the cattle feeder, it matters to the seed stock operator. Efficiency doesn't. Live calves don't. I'm not saying they're not important. What I'm saying is they're extremely important. Focus on them, manage them. But make sure that as you do that, this quality component is added in to your genetic selection and your management at your ranch. And then lastly, I would just say if you take one thing away from what I said, it's this right here. This isn't mine. I stole this from somebody, but you know how that goes. You know, you kind of, the first time you use someone's material, say, as Donald Brown once said, the next time you say, you know, as a good friend of mine once said, and then the third time you use it, you just say, as I've always said. Okay, and that's kind of where we've gotten to on this. As I've always said, okay, you know, I think moving forward we can benefit by thinking less about merely producing, okay, and think more about producing into something. I'm not here to tell you what your something is, but we're producing into something. But I would leave you to believe that it's a quality-oriented market. And let that help shape the decisions that you make as you decide what's financially best and sustainable for your operation. If you have enjoyed or taken value in anything that I've shared here this evening, I would encourage you to pull out your phone and scan that QR code and sign up and subscribe to Paul Dykstra's CAB Insider. It is specifically information every 2 weeks that is specific to the quality beef market, okay? It's specific to the dynamics of certified Angus beef, the dynamics of what's going on in the market with prime and premium choice. It's different than what you get in many other resources, and Paul really does a nice job, and I would encourage you to subscribe to it. With that, I just want to say thank you. First off, maybe congratulations on the success that you are seeing today and the things that you are enjoying after going through such difficult times. Your resilience is inspiring to me, of this entire community. And I just want to say thank you for that. Hope you enjoyed your meal, and Andy, and I'll turn it back over to you. So thank you.
John, so before you leave, John, I want to tell you a couple things about John. But John was supposed to have been here yesterday to spend the night here and to be with us early this morning. But I want to tell you what kind of guy he is. He didn't get into the airport because of weather delays and all kinds of things in Amarillo till 4 a.m. this morning. And then he got a rent car to drive over to Canadian, and at Pampa, his rent car broke down, and they had to bring him another rent car. And I said, John, why don't you go to the hotel here and take a nap? He said, oh, no, I don't want to miss any part of the beef conference. But this guy right here, if you can't tell he's not passionate about beef and about beef cattle, I don't know how to show it. This guy, in my opinion, is a pro's pro. And John, we are so honored to have you here. Do you guys still have the Beef Builders program?
We don't, but we have, if there's an opportunity to interact with producers, we'll find a way to do it.
In 2003, I went to the CAB Beef Builders program in Wooster, Ohio, and I've showed you this before. I bought this tie. I've had this tie all those years. It's my favorite.
Didn't I give it to you?
I don't know. Maybe you did.
Oh, you bought it. You bought it.
Maybe you did. I don't know. But I do know it's my favorite tie. And I've kept it usable for all these years, and I had it cleaned just for this conference to show you. But guys, Certified Angus Beef has changed the beef business. And so, John, one of the things that I want to predict, and this, Minnie Lou Bradley said that the wave of the future was a Certified Angus Beef with prime quality. She was right on. We were 2%. That was in 2015. And now we're 6 times that level. You know, when I was a kid, 30% of the carcasses graded choice. Think about the difference from the 60s to now. That's a lot, much less prime. But here's the thing that I think's going to happen, and I think this is something Minnie Lou would agree with me on. And I'd like to know your opinion. But I think there's a day coming that if we don't know our genetics and we don't know that there's quality built into those genetics, right now anything that's alive and four-legged and can get in and out of the ring's worth $1 jillion. But there's a day coming when that market's going to change, and if you don't have those genetics, you're not going to get a premium. In fact, those cattle are going to be discounted. So, guys, it's important to know what you have. It's important to invest into quality because quality is the future. Just like Minnie Lou said back in 2015. And it's amazing to me, we're going to hear from a guy with a black hat here on tomorrow, Tom Fanning from Buffalo Feeders, who's made a good living for decades now feeding quality cattle. He's one of the very best professionals in the feeding cattle industry. And I can't wait to hear what Tom has to say. But John, thank you for all you do. And Donald, we appreciate it. I do have a few announcements before you want to adjourn, but let's give John Stika a big round of applause. So guys, it's time to go home. We're running way behind a couple things. We open at 7 in the morning with the trade show. The program starts at 8 o'clock. We may have the best Wednesday we've ever had, the best second day coming up tomorrow. A couple things. My team is small. It's my ag committee and a couple of staff members. Before you leave here, if you don't mind helping us get rid of the trash, that would help us a bunch because we've got to get this room prepared tonight for in the morning. The next thing I want to say is please, if you haven't gotten around to our trade show exhibitors tomorrow, please go see those guys. We couldn't have John Stika and all these great speakers without our trade show sponsors. They fund this opportunity for us to all be together. So Donald, with that being said, thanks for a great day. It's flown by like a jet airplane. And thank you and Ryan and all of our great speakers today. I'll let you close us out.
All right, sounds great. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an awesome day. I'm going to close with what a wise man told me. What I've said all along. We have received a lot of great information today that a lot of it is a focus on how to be better and how and not all change is progress, but all progress requires change. And you have to just remember this, closing words for tonight. You don't have to change, but we all will have to compete with those who do. Have fun tonight. We will see you in the morning, 7 o'clock. God bless you.